Beginner flippers fail because they make emotional choices instead of looking at the real facts. The dream of making easy money hides the hard truths of building costs and market changes. If you make choices based on feelings instead of math, the market will take away all your money. When I was a beginner, it took me really long to find deals. So when I got a lead, I got so excited and I fell in love with it right away. Instead of being conservative and make sure that I think about the worst case scenario, I played with the renovation cost, the after repair value to try to force the numbers to work. In the end, you probably have guessed the result, that I broke even on the project instead of making any money. But I was actually lucky to have achieved that result because I could totally have lost money because I was being emotional and I fell in love with the deal instead of looking at the hard numbers. After 9 years of flipping over 100 houses, I've created this list of the top reasons why beginner flips fail. I'm going to share this with you today so you can avoid making these mistakes. Mistake number 1. Buying based on the potential instead of the numbers. A lot of people ask me, what's your criteria for the projects that you purchase? It's actually very simple. There's not a lot of criteria. It's just the numbers. As a seasoned investor, the only thing that determines whether I pull the trigger on a project is the numbers. If the numbers don't work, it doesn't matter how beautiful the house is, how much I love it for myself, I wouldn't buy it as an investment. A lot of beginners don't understand this. They probably either have a hard time come across deals or they just get emotional when they see something. They use the end buyer mindset instead of the investor mindset, and they try to force the numbers to work like I did. And this is very dangerous because in a house flip, you make money on the purchase, not the sale. If you don't buy the project at the right price, it doesn't matter what you do to the house. You're still not going to be able to make a profit. To make sure that I get all the numbers right, I use my deal analyzer every day. I plug all the numbers in it to get the max purchase price on a house. If you want to borrow my deal analyzer, grab it in the link in description below. Mistake number 2, renovating like it's your dream home. This is so common for beginners, myself included when I was starting out. When I got my first project, I just looked at it as if I was going to move in because regular people don't get to renovate homes all the time. So whenever they get the chance, they just give it all. It's so easy to fall in the trap to design it as your dream home and pick out the finished materials based on your preference. But your preference doesn't matter because you are not selling the house to yourself. You are selling it to your target buyers. And what the target buyers like should be your focus. That's why you want to stick with neutral finishes that everybody likes. Later on, the buyers can choose to add some vibrant colors or an accent wall. You also want to avoid over-improving on a project because not every dollar you spend will necessarily yield a return. If you're thinking about renovating your own home, you're naturally thinking about utmost comfort and style, top-of-the-line appliances, but these are not necessary for most of the flips. A good rule of thumb is before making any decision, think about your target buyer. Would they be willing to pay twice as much as what you spend on this line item? And if the answer is yes, you can go ahead with it. And if the answer is no, you probably don't want to do that upgrade. Mistake number 3, trusting the wrong people too early. That's exactly what I did when I was a beginner. On my first deal, of course, I wanted to select a good contractor, but it didn't work out that way. I reached out to 3 contractors to give me a bid, but ended up only receiving 1 quote. And that quote ended up being too high, so I couldn't work with that contractor. and I already closed on the purchase. So I was under the gun and I wanted to find a contractor really quick. And I pretty much went out and signed the first contractor I saw. And that was a big mistake because contractor is such an important team member for a house flip. And when the contractor is not the right one, is not a good, reliable contractor, you really are set out for a lot of headaches and a lot of mistakes. I learned it the hard way that hiring a contractor cannot be in a rush. You have to take your time to vet them, to review the referrals, to look at the contracts, and to set expectations upfront. My mentor said to me, trust is not given, it's earned. So as you go through this whole process with the contractors, you want to pay attention to every interaction you have and make sure that they are reliable and trustworthy. Even though you may be taking a little longer in selecting the contractor, if you find a good one, it's going to save you a lot of time during the construction. I've never done this before, but I'm hosting a free live training where I'm going to teach the most I've ever shared online about flipping houses profitably. This is the kind of stuff I usually only teach in person or inside my coaching program, but I'm doing it online because so many people have asked me how to actually get started to flip houses in 2026. I'll be breaking down how corporate professionals and busy people land their first profitable flips without quitting their jobs, what the market looks like in 2026, and the biggest mistakes to avoid if you want your numbers to actually work. So if you've been watching my videos for a while and thinking, I want to do this, but I'm not sure exactly where to start, this is for you. The link to save your spot is in the description. Alright, let's get back to the video. Mistake number 4, not having a buffer. Beginners tend to take everything at face value. When a contractor gives you a bid, you think that's exactly how much you're going to spend on the project. When they give you a timeline, you think that's exactly how long the project will take. But that's not how it works at all, because there could be a lot of unexpected things that happen that will cost extra money, and the time could also be delayed due to permits or unexpected issues. So you want to plan for a little buffer in your construction budget. If the contractor gives you a bid for $200,000, you probably want to budget for at least $220,000, so 10% in there in case anything unexpected happens. The same with the timeline. If the GC says 3 months to complete the project, you probably want to budget at least for 4 months because contractor delays are so common. With a buffer, you will have a lot less stress during the project, and it will force you to have more reserve in your bank account. So if anything happens, you can still pay for the extras. And with the rising interest rate, hard money is getting more expensive. So that's another reason to have enough reserves to cover all the unexpected costs and delays. Mistake number 5, wanting to do the whole project all by yourself. I've been there myself. Even though I was a beginner, I still wanted to make all the decisions, to have full control of the project, and to take all the profit. But sometimes it's just not feasible, and it's not the best solution. As a beginner, naturally, you have limited resources. You probably don't have a lot of funds, you don't have a lot of deals, and you don't have a good contracting team, and you don't have experience. If you try to solve all of these issues all by yourself, it may take you a while. So the smart way to do it is to bring in a partner. An ideal partner is someone who can bring something that you don't have to the table. If you have a deal but you don't have the money, then your partner should be the one who can bring the money to the table. On my first deal, I had the deal and I had the money, but I didn't have experience. So I brought my mentor onto the deal so he could provide me some guidance, and it worked out really well because if it wasn't for him with the bad contractor I had, I probably would have lost my shirt. Mistake number 6, treating it like a one-time hustle, not a business. So many people think of house flipping as a demanding job, like you are constantly under stress, you are putting out fire all the time, but it doesn't have to be like that. You can flip one house without any structure, but if you want to do multiple projects at once and you want to do it as a business, you have to have a system and you have to have a team. A lot of beginners try to wear too many hats at once. They would find the deals all by themselves. They renovate the house as if they were the general contractor, and then they try to put on the agent hat as well to sell the houses for top dollar. And it just doesn't work like that. When you're trying to do everybody's job, you just don't do anything very well. First of all, you can't be good at everything. You also risk of burning yourself out. And the third thing is, if you keep doing the low-paying jobs, then you're going to overlook the important big picture. I started out without a system and a team, and I tried to do a lot of stuff on my own. I had to work long hours and didn't have a lot of free time. But over time, I started to build the system and the team. And last year, even though it was my best year ever, where I flipped 30 houses, I was also able to take 3 months off to travel to 13 different countries and spend a lot of time with my friends and family, and really felt so fulfilled. So it's definitely possible to set up a system and a team and run this as a business without burning yourself to the ground. Now you've learned why 90% of beginner flips lose money and the top mistakes to avoid. In this next video, I'm going to share with you the brutal truth about house flipping that no one wants to hear. Make sure you watch it so you stay informed. I'll see you there.